Welcome to Money in Motion's Web Extra. As the Greeks head to the polls this weekend and worries over America's own economic picture mount, the question remains, is the U.S. headed down the same path as the troubled Eurozone? No one better to ask than Representative Ron Paul, who has been very vocal about the changes America's economy needs. Representative Paul, it's a pleasure to speak to you once again on Money in Motion.
Thank you, Melissa. Good to be with you.
In terms of your predictions, if you have any for the Greek elections, what do you anticipate? And what do you anticipate will be the reaction of central bankers around the world?
Well, they're going to continue to do what the only thing they know what to do, and that is inflate. Inflate means inflate the currency, create more money, more credit, which devalues the currency, which encourages all the debt. So now, after 30-some years of doing this internationally, the debt crisis is on our doorstep. And I think what we're seeing in Greece is just very, very minor and small compared to all the debt of the world. And eventually the problem will hit us. The question is only when countries get this much in debt, the question is how does the debt get liquidated? The debt never gets paid off. And right now the struggle in Europe is, will there be liquidation of debt where Greece won't pay their bills and they're not capable of doing it, so they have to get a bailout and the richer countries have to try to help, or a stronger currency. Representative, most of the debt is liquidated through inflation and destruction of the value, and that's what is going to be coming, I believe.
Let me switch gears on you a little bit and talk about the United States. Earlier this week on Monday, Max Baucus, the chairman of the Finance Committee in the Senate, gave a press conference and he discussed a way forward to some extent, or at least he gave the indication that from the Senate Finance Committee that they may have some breaks or I should say some compromises ready to go to get the U.S. past the fiscal cliff. What do you think about that?
I don't know the details of that, but I wouldn't be very optimistic about it because from my viewpoint of having watched Congress for a long time and hearing this discussion on the Financial Service Committee and looking how Congress works, I think that there's way too much. People say, well, if they just could get together, they could solve the problem. And I see it differently. I see that there's too much cooperation by the leadership on both parties, although that you never hear about it, because right now they're working strongly behind scenes to make sure sequestration doesn't go into effect. Those people who pushed it through last year to raise the debt limit, now the Democrats and Republican leaders are just really, really determined not to cut a nickel out of the military and actually increase it. So there is no determination to cut. I think he's probably very sincere, and there are a lot of sincere people there, but the momentum is so great that the spending will continue and the exponential growth of debt will continue, and then there will be a day of reckoning and the debt will have to be liquidated. And Bernanke is working very, very hard to liquidate debt through the inflationary process. And quite frankly, there's a lot more inflation out there than our recent statistic indicated. And people are getting poorer. They don't have enough money, and prices are going up. So the liquidation of debt is ongoing. But one of these days it'll get much more severe and everybody will know about it.
Just a quick question for you. It sounds like you would expect U.S. Treasury debt to be downgraded again then sometime next year if you're not hopeful for spending cuts ahead.
Yeah, you know, whether somebody announced the official downgrading or not, I know that has a lot of significance on Wall Street, but sure, it's going to be downgraded, and it probably should be downgraded now, and more so than it will be downgraded. The market will dictate the value of the currency. Right now, we're certainly benefiting tremendously by other parts of the world, especially Europe and the euro, being so much worse than our economy and our debt. But there will be more downgrades. There will be official, and they'll pretend that they're taking care of it. But until the American people decide that we really have to cut spending, and that's the big argument in Greece, is there going to be austerity, or is there going to be bailout? I don't think there will be austerity over there nor here. There will always be bailouts, and there will always be the creation of money and credit, because our Federal Reserve, because we still have a dollar that people will accept, our Federal Reserve stands ready to use currency swaps. They've been involved before, and they'll be involved again, and they've assured the world that they will be there if needed.
Right. Representative Paul, always good to get your viewpoint on things. Ron Paul joining us tonight. And that is tonight's Money in Motion 101 Web Extra. Be sure to catch more Money in Motion Friday nights at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, only on CNBC.